Hello students, hope you are healthy and doing well. So let's start the lesson with something very interesting. In this, I will show you 4 different pictures in which you have to observe and identify the places shown in the picture.
Yes ma'am, we are ready.
So let's begin with the first picture. What do you see in this picture?
Ma'am, I can observe boating, fishing, coconut trees and banana plants.
Good. Now can you identify the place shown in the picture?
Ma'am, I visited the similar place in summer vacation. It happens to be Kerala.
Very good, Suchita. What did you observe during your visit to Kerala?
Ma'am, I enjoyed scenery of hills like in the picture. We have gone for boating.
That's great. Let's watch another picture. What do you see in this picture?
Ma'am, I can see camel, desert and cactus.
Okay. Now, can you guess the place shown in the picture?
Ma'am, it's Rajasthan.
Correct. Students, do you know in India, Rajasthan is even famous for dates, that is khajur, as it can be grown only in dry and less water content areas. So let's move on to another picture. So what you can see in this picture?
Ma'am, we can see a large agriculture field and a small village. It is a continuous area.
Good observation, Suchita. This plain belongs to plain area of Uttar Pradesh. Okay, let's move on to another picture. What you can observe in this picture?
Ma'am, it's from cold area. Ma'am, I think it's from Himachal or Jammu and Kashmir.
That's correct. What do you think? Why we can't grow apples in Rajasthan?
Ma'am, I think because in Rajasthan the climate will not be suitable for apple crops.
Excellent, Arnab. Now you have understood that even though we live in the same country, we have different living conditions, and the differences in the living conditions in the world has resulted in the differences in the distribution of population. These differences are mainly due to resources such as quality of land, soil, water, animals, natural vegetation, and the differences in the availability of such resources is the main reason that places differ from each other. So in today's class, let's study about the most important resource, that is land. Land is among the most important natural resource. As you can observe in the pie chart, it's only 29% of total Earth's surface, and yet only few parts of it is habitable, that is fit for survival. For example, Arctic area in North Pole is not fit for living due to its extreme low temperature.
Ma'am, is this the reason why some places are more populated than the others?
Good question, Sujeta. Not just the temperature but also the rugged topography, that is both natural and artificial distribution on the earth's surface, which include steep slopes of mountains, thick forest areas, hot and cold desert. These are the areas which are less populated. Places like river valleys and plains offer suitable land for agriculture. Therefore, these places are more populated. For example, in India, Uttar Pradesh is more populated than Himachal Pradesh, as it offers a suitable land for agriculture. Now I want you to think why Ganga Brahmaputra plain of India is an overpopulated region.
Ma'am, I think it's overpopulated because of plain surface and availability of water.
That's correct. As we are discussing land as a resource, let's find reasons why land is considered as an important resource. For that, I will show you some picture and you have to identify how many ways the land has been used in the shown picture.
Ma'am, I can see land is used for building, houses, roads and factories.
Very good, students. As you observe that land has been used for different purposes such as building houses, mining, forestry and all kinds of construction works, then it is called as land use. And as it is used for many such activities, that's why land is considered as an important resource.
Ma'am, does school building and playground is also a land use?
Yes, you are right. As school and playground are used for educational purposes, it is also a kind of land use.
Ma'am, why there are differences in land use activities?
Good question, Sucheta. As we discussed earlier, that different places have different type of climate, soil, minerals and availability of water. So these are the physical factors which influence the kind of land use. For example, if we live near water bodies, we can enjoy boating and fishing activities. Even there are some human factors such as population, technology and culture which determines the kind of land use. We construct religious buildings and we have used technology for constructing tunnels. So due to differences in these physical and human factors, so there are differences in the kind of land use. Students, land use also depends on ownership of land.
Ma'am, once I heard my parents were discussing about buying one piece of land near our village. Can we own any land?
Yes, we can purchase land. For that, let's understand land ownership. Land ownership is determined in two ways, private land and community land. Private land is owned by individual and community land is used by whole society. And to purchase any land, we have to take permission from government. So basically, as private land is owned by individual, so the land which is owned by your parents and your relatives come under private land. And mostly the private lands are used for shops, construction of houses and agriculture. The community land is owned by the whole community and it is used for common purposes like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts and medicinal herbs. For example, all of you play in the park, that is community land. The community land is also known as common property resources. Now, can you list some examples of common property resources?
Roads, parks, railway stations, dams and canals. Ma'am, does airport, heritage sites come under common properties?
All these facilities are used by common public but maintained and owned by state. Community land is shared and owned by community for common purposes.
Ma'am, if construction continues like this, we may not have place to play in future.
Yes, Arnav, it's a major concern as people and their demands are increasing but availability of land is limited. It has led to change in uses of land over time. Students, now observe this picture and list the changes you observed in land use over time.
Ma'am, I can observe that there is increasing number of houses, factories, roads over time.
That's correct.
Ma'am, I can see that the land under agriculture and forest has been decreased over time.
Correct, students. As you have observed that ways of using land has been changed with the changes in society. For example, construction of houses and factories over agricultural land. As you can observe that due to increase in population, there is uncontrolled expansion of cities on rural agricultural land. And also the unplanned uses of land is leading to land degradation. Land degradation is decreasing in the quality or productivity of land. Okay? And this land degradation has many forms such as landslides, soil erosion and desertification. Students, observe these pictures of land degradation forms. The first one is landslide. Landslide is mass movement of rock or earth down the slope. It happens mostly during earthquakes, volcanoes and floods.
Then ma'am, what is soil erosion?
Students, it is the removal of most fertile layer of soil through water and wind. And when the most fertile soil is converted into desert, this process is called desertification. Students, we will learn about these land degradation forms in detail in our upcoming classes. Students, will you tell me two reasons of land degradation?
Yes ma'am, soil erosion and desertification are two main reasons of land degradation.
That's correct, Sucheta. Now the concern is if proper steps are not taken on time, then the future generation like you will not have fertile soil, free space for forest, common playgrounds and parks.
Ma'am, we need to conserve land resources.
Very good, Arnav. Well, would you all like to share your ideas for conservation of land resources?
Ma'am, we can save soil by planting more trees and plants. Ma'am, we can save resources by proper planning and careful use.
Very good, Arnav. And as we learned that land is very important resource and it is used for many human activities, there is an urgent need to take the necessary measures to save the land. Like afforestation, as Sucheta told, we need to plant more trees and we also need to focus on increasing the land fertility, which is possible by careful use of fertilizers and avoiding overgrazing. While doing any construction, we should have proper planning. For example, while planning for land use, we should distribute more space for human basic needs like health and educational centers. So, if we have more health centers, it will be helpful for us in case of any health emergencies. And also, we need to avoid overuse and illegal use of land to conserve the land resources for future generation. So, students, today we have discussed about the first one, uneven distribution of population as per uneven living condition available on the earth. And when the land is used for different purposes, it is known as land use. And the type of land use depends upon physical factors and human factors. The land use also depends upon the ownership of land, that is, private and community are the two types of ownership of land. Students, thus land is degrading due to unplanned and uncontrolled growth, and this is the alarming situation that we have to wake up and work for conservation of land resources for future generations. So students, what did you learn today?
Ma'am, we have learned that the land resources are very precious and there is need to conserve it for future generations.
Very good students. So today we have learnt about land resources. In the next class we will learn about another resource. Now I will assign you an activity as homework. Students, you have to do one activity to learn change in land use pattern with time. You will talk to some elderly person in your family or neighborhood and collect information about changes in the land use over the years in the place where you live. You can use these questions which are shown on the screen to conduct interview of your parents and elderly persons. Once you complete the table, you should draw a picture of land use pattern that you foresee in your neighborhood after 20 years. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you.